Wow, Polyend Synth, what can I say? Wow, 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 beautiful. Just such a great sounding synth, and for the price, 325 from Thomann at the moment in Germany, amazing, amazing value. Yeah, I've been looking for a poly synth for some time, probably around the £500 price mark. Looked at the Mini Freak and a few other bits, a few second-hand bits as well. But what blew me away with the Polyend Synth is the fact that it's just the sound that I like. It's just got some nice sounds on it, and it sort of clicked with me, and I like the workflow, and so I decided to jump in and get one. I kind of I've heard of Polysynth, obviously I've heard of Tracker and things like that, but it's never something that's caught my attention before because I'm really not into trackers. It's not really my workflow. I'm more of an Ableton 12 guy in my DAW with my VSTs. Never really had anything hands-on synth-wise. I've tried the Hydrosynth Explorer, which I didn't really get along with very well, and I also had, I think, a Wave State I bought second-hand, and I literally sold it a couple of weeks later because it's just blew my mind with how complex it is. Nothing to do with the synths, it's to do with me. I'm not a synth head really. I know my way around it a little bit, but I'm not a patch guy. I don't do init very often because I'm more VSTs, and I've got that many presets. I can usually find something that sits, and I just usually tweak it to suit. So this little fella came along, and it just looked different from anything else. You know, 3 synth engines, which is what, tri-timbral, I suppose you could call it. And they're exciting. There's grains on here, there's polysynths, there's 303s, there's everything. So it's kind of like, it's like a do-it-all box. It's like a really nice VST, like a sort of pigment style synth, just thrown into a box with loads of knobs pre-mapped, so it's quite hands-on. I did email Polyend initially before I bought it, because one thing that did confuse me is whether I could get all the 3 tracks out as separate audio into Ableton. So my idea was to use it in Ableton, stream the 3 tracks out separately so I could just jam on it and then chop all the bits that I like. You can't do that, and I think it's a processor limitation where it just needs probably the next step up, which probably take the price tag up as well, which was to get the 3 audio tracks out via USB. So unfortunately everything's just out on the one audio as just one channel. But hey ho, not a problem, because you can just use it as a synth, you know, and do it that way. And I've also found that I can do 3 MIDI tracks within Ableton to control each engine, and use the push to control each engine and record the MIDI in to each engine, and I can just solo them out then, I guess, and choose which one I want to put into audio. So there's ways around it. It does work, you know. But yeah, USB out for the 3, so you could stream them out separately, would have been pretty tasty. But anyway, it is what it is. It's 325 quid. I am not complaining. So I've done what everybody else does. I've been online, went on YouTube, watched every probably polysynth video out there. And unlike a lot of the other synths, every single video I saw, I was like, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds good. So that was my initial reason for purchase. I then sort of digging into the comments a little bit and got involved myself, saying to guys, what's this with the CPU issues and glitching and bits and bobs, and a few little negatives about Polyend as a company. So obviously, you know, it is the internet. You tend to moan if there's a problem rather than praise. But so I sort of looked through it, and there was a few threads about the CPU issues. I have seen it as well in action. So I got the synth. It came in 1.1 software. Totally ignored that. So from off the bat, I went straight in onto 1.3. Updated the software straight away. Didn't try the other ones. Straight to 1.3. Booted it up. Been playing around with it 3 days solid. I've had no issues whatsoever with any CPU glitching or overloads. I think it's come up a couple of times, it's highlighted, but hey, it didn't make any difference to the sound or the synth itself. So, you know, if they wanted to write that out with software and not even have it showing, you just wouldn't know. So apart from that, it hasn't crashed on me. I found the scrolling through the menus quite straightforward. I mean, if you haven't seen all the videos, then I'll give you a quick rundown what it is. It's basically a VST in a box. It's completely digital, there's nothing analog about it. You've got 3 synth engines and you can choose them. So the first, you can choose whichever synth engine you want out of a whole bunch of them, grain and virtual analog, 303 style, like I said. There's wavetable synths, there's all sorts in there. Then you just apply it to the first engine, then you go on to the second engine, and you choose what you want to use for that one, and then the third engine, you choose what you use for that one. So you've got three. It's basically like having a desk with three separate synths on. You've got a choice of the first synth, you've got a choice of the second synth, a choice of the three synths. You join them all up together, and then you interface them via this. So it is like having three separate hardware synths all together with one easy interface to play each one. Effects wise, good. Delay and reverb, they sound really nice. The filters sound good. All the presets are really good presets. They sound nice. You know, it's my kind of music. LFOs, ADSRs. It's got a nice ARP and a lot of choices on the ARP. And then what you can do then, once you've programmed it or chose what synth engines you want, and you've got three nice synth engines, you can save all those as a scene, and the scenes are easily to save in the scene section, and you can see there's plenty they sent with it, you know, from the off, so that's plenty to be getting on with to start with. The Venus Theory ones are nice as well, very lush and dark. It gives a real good idea of what the synth sounds like. Let's just have a listen to one now. I mean, you just can't help but be blown away by some of these. Beautiful. So, and the great thing I like on this as well is it's also got, I mean, I remember how to go into it, but scene. Yeah, if you want to save the scene, the actual pads come up as a QWERTY keyboard, which is a lot better than being able to move when you're trying to dial in names with a jog wheel. I mean, that's just so much quicker. So it makes you save things easier because it's easy to do. If you don't want to type anything and you can't be bothered, it's a spur of the moment thing, auto name, and it's done. They fill one in for you. That's a great idea as well. And the thing I like about this, I think one of the patches, I'm not very familiar with them at the moment, but certainly these Dear Mr. Blake patches tend to be quite. There's a thing called chord follow. You can see it there. So not only got chord mode in it, so they've written chords for you. So to press one button. There's a whole bunch of those in there, and they're really nice chords. They go really well together. They're very easy to use. And then you can set the other two synth engines as a follower, so it follows whatever chord lead you're doing, so everything's in key and in time. So if just by pressing one note, boom, one note. See, it's instantly changing all the other engines to suit without having to think about what you're playing. So that's once again another really instantaneous way of using it. It's very creative. So yeah, there's a few instances. I think I've read a few comments. People are, well, what am I going to use this thing for? What is it for exactly? How's it going to sit with my workflow? Well, there's a couple of things that I think are positive for it. It's a really good lap machine. So if you just want to get away from the computer, just chill out on the couch, put some headphones in, use a basic power bank to power it, and you can just sit there making patches, and that's something I don't do on the PC. I go into Ableton, I've got so many presets anyhow, I never init anything and start from scratch because I'm just there, and if I'm on the computer I'm making music, so I don't want to be making patches or spend time just sit there making patches all day. But this, you know, if you get a spare an hour of an evening, you can just sit there and just play with it and make patches. In fact, you can make 3, and then you can just save them as a scene, and you've got 3 sounds that really work together. So next time you're working on a track, you can just maybe jump in, and maybe that's a starting point for you. So I think that's a really good way of using it. It works well with Ableton. I had no issues at all. USB-C straight in. It found it. It came up as synth. I chose what MIDI tracks to use, and I was up and running in no time. It was really very straightforward. And because I got the Push 3 controller, audio out from this straight into the Push 3, beautiful, no problem at all. And it also works well with Ableton Move as well. And I guess, you know, it'll be the same with the Electron stuff as well. You know, it's a really good little engine to sit with other things, especially if you can make beats with a drum machine or something, and then have this as your little synth engine. And I think it could also be quite a portable way of, if you like do little gigs or play out and stuff, I feel quite comfortable taking this out with the Move maybe and doing a little ambient set and things like that, and just tweaking effects as I go. So it's brilliant for that. But I can't stress enough how good it sounds, you know, and I've heard a lot of synths. I can't really compare it to anything per se, but I could say it's more of just a really nice VST, like Pigments or something like that, which has got the granular and it's got the virtual analog, and it's, you know, it's got the same sort of feature sets. Probably not as deep, obviously, and the effects aren't as many. But I think for what you get with it and for the price, I think it does everything you want. And because it's deep enough to go in sculpt sounds, it's got longevity. You're not just going to get bored of the presets and then just not be able to make anything. I mean, I'm terrible at presets, but I'll be honest, I think I've done a few. Where am I? I'm on here somewhere. Done a few scenes myself, which, okay, they're not the greatest, but they're certainly there's one. What else have I got? They're not all great, but I want to put a little break beat in. Let's try to look at that one. So I did that. That was a little break beat. I put my own samples into it, which is another thing you can do with this. You can put your own sounds into some of the engines, and that gives you little drum breaks. You have to mess around with the tempo because it doesn't warp, but it doesn't take long. You can soon get something going. What else? Like I say, I've never made init patches in my life, but I fired it all up. Init patch, that's a virtual analog poly. And then we've got the wave tables, and then we've got granular. So I just made my own synth engines, 1, 2, and 3. Set the key. I put a little ARP on some bits, and that was it. It was done. You know, 20 minutes, and I'd saved it, named it, and I've got it for future reference. That's how easy it is. If I can do it, I'm pretty sure anybody can do it. And this is probably the first thing I've really jumped on and clicked with, and I can make patches. You've obviously got to be familiar with the basics of synthesis, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of sweet spots on it. It's not hard. You have to really try hard not to make a good sound on it. Whereas some other synths I've been on, like the Hydra synth, I tried that, and literally every patch I made sounded like an organ. I couldn't really get anywhere with it, but this is beautiful. I've really got on with it. I also had a bunch of wave tables for wavetable synths that I found online. It was a whole folder full of them, just really nice Prophet saws and sort of some Moog stuff as well. And I've put those in here, and they're loaded up fine, and they're all there, and I can make patches with those as well. So a lot of flexibility. It works really well. It comes with a SD card, 16 gigs. There's more than enough space for any samples you want to. I wouldn't put anything too long for the granular and things like that, because when you're flicking through them, it will stall on those particular presets, obviously, because they're so long and it's reading all the data, and it's quite instantaneous. So if you put anything in, short and sweet, and then you won't get any issues with loading speeds and things like that. This is the only thing I've come across, but everything else has just run really smoothly. So in a nutshell, I think the Polyend Synth is absolutely brilliant value for money. It's great for somebody who wants to get into synthesis, wants to learn how to program, make their own patches, and having the choice of all the different synth engines, I think is superb. And I really like the layout. I love the keys, modes. I love the follower. I mean, that's really new. I love the chords on it as well. That's really great for playing. So if you're not if you're not a keyboard player, then obviously it's something it's immediate. You know, you can just jump on there and you can just play stuff that's in key with nice chords and just get some ideas down really quick. And that's what it's for, really. So yeah, Polyend Synth, highly recommended. And that's it. Thank you.